All right, so look, we got the 20 most infamous mob hits. We hopping straight into it, man. Y'all said y'all like when I do videos like this, so I'm bringing a whole lot more of these to the channel. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, bruh. Make sure you like the video. We about to see these infamous mob hits. Let's see what they did.
Police examining the crime scene of Dino Bravo's murder discover 17 bullet casings from 2 different firearms on the living room floor.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're discussing 20 infamous mob hits.
No one is ever brought to trial for the slaughter of the 7 men in this garage. But within 19 months, all 4 of the killers will themselves die of violence.
For this video, we're looking at some...
Dang, well, how you know it was how you know it was 7 people that was hold on. Well, 7 people died, but how you know who was responsible for those?
All 4 of the killers will themselves die of violence.
For this video, we're looking at some examples of organized crime at its most violent. Did any of these crimes shock you? Let us know in the comments. The M&M murders. There have been a number of infamous mob hits that received the dramatization treatment on the silver screen. The M&M murders were one such hit, a gruesome scene that was showcased in director Martin Scorsese's 1995 classic Casino.
Don't make me have to do this, please, come on.
The incident in question occurred in 1962 and was perpetrated by 2 of the mafia's most easily angered associates. Tony Spilatro and Mad Sam DiStefano eradicated 2 burglars, James Miraglia and William McCarthy, in truly gruesome fashion. They sought out McCarthy on the first night, torturing him to the point where he then gave up his partner Miraglia. Spilatro and DiStefano then proceeded to finish the job.
So they made a movie out of this, and it was actually a real-life event? I did not know that.
Got around that finally there was a real gangster in town.
Dino Bravo. The world of professional wrestling is full of larger-than-life characters, but sometimes truth is stranger than fiction.
I'm not stepping out that way. I want to face you in front of all the people of Montreal. We know what you've got, they know what I've got.
This is particularly true when it comes to the story of Dino Bravo, a former superstar in the WWF that reportedly ran afoul of organized crime syndicates in his native Canada.
Moi, je pense qu'il a peut-être été naïf et souvent l'argent fait faire des choses.
Bravo, who was born Adolfo Bresciano in 1948, was allegedly involved with smuggling cigarettes alongside his professional wrestling duties. The athlete's situation was dramatized on the docuseries Dark Side of the Ring, where it was...
Where would you have to smuggle cigarettes at? Where was cigarettes illegal to even have to smuggle them?
It was revealed that Bravo possessed some real reservations about his dangerous side hustle.
When Dino was at the end of his days, that he may have done something that he wasn't supposed to. A lot of rumors run. And he must have realized at one point, you're screwed.
These reservations were well-founded, as Bravo was found dead of multiple gunshot wounds on March 10, 1993. Shonder Burns.
It takes chutzpah, brass nuts, to get what you want.
Organized crime doesn't take holidays off. Perhaps this explains why the well-known Jewish-American gangster Shonder Burns was taken down on Easter's Holy Saturday back in March 1975. Burns had been feuding with Irish-American mob boss Danny Green. This feud had escalated to the point where Green had actually survived an assassination attempt plotted by Burns. The latter, however, wasn't so lucky. Burns was taken out by a car bomb, the explosion of which was described by police as being one of the strongest they'd ever witnessed. This was...
Blew that boy to bacon bits, didn't he? Craziest thing is these old school movies. I did not notice that these movies was actually telling, you know, somewhat of the truth or something that actually realistically did happen. I never knew that.
The result of the bomb being composed of C4, a deadly military-grade explosive. Philip the Chicken Man Testa. Philip Testa's moniker of the Chicken Man may sound silly, but there was nothing humorous about the manner in which he met his demise. The Chicken Man, known by this name due to his day job working with poultry, was allegedly whacked by members within his own circle. Testa was walking into his Philadelphia home when a homemade device known as a nail bomb went off. This is an explosive that shoots off deadly nail shrapnel into its target. Testa died on his front porch, but his killers would soon see retaliation for their crimes. Underboss Peter Casella was exiled, while Capo Frank Narducci Sr. was shot down for his involvement in the Chicken Man hit. Irving Puggy Feinstein. Don't get too big for your britches. Irving Puggy Feinstein learned this the hard way when he ran afoul of the mob back in the late 1930s. Feinstein's low-level gambling and racketeering operations allegedly hid desires for future expansion. This ambition did not sit well with others in the organization. A hit was put on Puggy, and the sentence was carried out by the infamous enforcement outfit Murder Incorporated. Harry Strauss, Abe Relis, and Martin Goldstein did the deed with an ice pick. But Puggy
Murder Incorporated. I wonder if that's where Ja Rule, the old school rappers, got the Murder Inc.
He wasn't going down without a fight. The mobster fought tooth and nail with his attackers, literally taking a bite out of Strauss during the hit.
The Murder Incorporated boys were issued scores of contracts by the syndicate, and the business at hand.
Now, because a lot of the musicians literally take old stories, old street bosses' names, and just make them their rap name. I wonder if Irv Gotti and Ja Rule took that Murder Inc., Murder Inc. from these guys right here. Anybody know that? Let me know in the comments.
And was executed with neatness and finesse.
Feinstein's burned body would later be found abandoned in a vacant lot. The Big Tuna Murders.
He skirted. He got him there. He fooled the government. He had a charmed life. He was always able to win out.
Operation Family Secrets was an FBI investigation that uncovered the details of numerous murders that took place within the world of Chicago organized crime. A number of these deaths were the brazen but foolish burglars who decided to rob the home of crime boss Tony Big Tuna Accardo. This inside job was performed by associates within the mob, and it didn't take long for Accardo to connect the dots. Soon, everyone involved with the burglary was found slain in gruesome fashion.
When Accardo found out about it, one FBI source told me that his...
Because you decide to rob a mob boss. Why? It can't be that bad. Like, if this is really mob bosses, you signed up for a death wish. Facts.
Informant said the old man, he had never seen the old man so angry.
Then, a number of hired assassins were also whacked in order to keep things quiet. As for Accardo, he died of...
Boy, how do assassins get killed? That's how you know you pulling strings, bro. You kill an assassin. That's like hiring John Wick to kill somebody that kill a John Wick. You ain't getting him, bro.
Natural health complications at the age of 86. The Blackfriars Massacre. The world of organized crime in Boston, Massachusetts has its own laundry list of infamous murders and hits. One such incident took place at the Blackfriars pub back in June of 1978. The downtown Boston spot was closed, but a number of men known to police, as well as a local news reporter, were playing backgammon in the pub's basement. Their bodies would later be found by authorities, slain gangland style, while money and narcotics were found at the scene. The Blackfriars Massacre remains unsolved, with some theories pointing to both the Patriarca crime family and the notorious Winter Hill gang as potential suspects.
You know it had to be somebody with some type of rank or at least some money or something, because you ain't just whacking somebody or a few people in a basement and then leaving the money and drugs. Like, you're just not. Like, I mean, I ain't gonna say I'm not, because I ain't in the streets, but I can imagine if I did something, I'm taking the money, the drugs, anything just to stay afloat, bro. Facts.
Danny Green.
Danny Green's legend was born in this era. Known as the Irishman, his colorful career included a rocky stint heading the local longshoremen's union.
We mentioned earlier how Danny Green narrowly avoided an assassination attempt by his rival, Chandra Burns. Well, this wasn't the only time the Irish-American mob boss had cheated death. In fact, Green had become pretty good at avoiding nearly every attempt on his life, of which there were more than a few. His lucky streak finally ended, however, on October 6, 1977.
He was a mobster, he's a thief. You name it, he was.
Green was leaving an otherwise innocuous dentist appointment, not knowing that his phone had been tapped. He was killed by a car bomb, but it wasn't his car that blew up. Instead, hitman Ray Ferrito had planted a bomb in the car next to Green's. The boss would be found dead at the scene.
The mob wanted him dead. Ferrito decided to tell all. And with Ferrito naming names, some of those names wanted deals and protection.
Dutch Schultz.
They send you.
Word to the wise, if even the organization tells you not to do something, don't do it. The infamous mobster Dutch Schultz did not listen when his request to assassinate New York prosecutor Thomas Dewey was denied. Instead, he tried to go ahead with his plan and paid the price. A hit was put out on Schultz, and by all accounts, it got messy.
But although Luciano has no intention of allowing Schultz to kill Dewey, he realizes that his former stablemate is too hot-headed to brush off.
Hitmen from Murder, Inc. tried to take out Schultz and his associates at the Palace Chop House on October 23, 1935. It was a bullet-riddled affair, with the assassins getting away, while all of Schultz's gang received grave injuries. They would be taken to a local hospital, but all of them, including Schultz, eventually died from their wounds.
Dang, all of them?
Some crazy sounds in here.
Joe Masseria.
How much more you want to lose?
Un capo, bicho.
Out of these stories, make sure y'all let me know in the comments if you want me to deep dive or actually watch any of these either full stories or full documentaries.
One boss.
You may not be aware of the name Joe Masseria, unless you're a mob historian, of course. However, most everyone has probably heard of the man responsible for Masseria's murder, Lucky Luciano. Luciano was actually a lieutenant of Masseria's, while the latter was operating as a boss in the Genovese crime family. The hit took place at an Italian restaurant, the Nuova Villa Tamaro, where Masseria was shot repeatedly.
Joe, this ain't number 16.
Masseria was actually made aware of Luciano's treachery beforehand and attempted a counter-hit, but was further betrayed by another associate, Joe Adonis. Lucky Luciano's plan was successful, while some of the gunmen involved included Adonis, as well as other big-name mobsters, such as Vito Genovese and Bugsy Siegel. Sam Giancana.
The only name you needed to know. And when Sam took the reins, all hell broke loose all over the world.
Over the years, this Chicago mobster has been linked to CIA efforts to assassinate Fidel Castro during the...
A lot of stuff happens in Chicago, man. You would have thought that it was just like now generations, but a few of these mob bosses is actually in Chicago. You feel what I'm saying? Chicago always been the trenches, I'm seeing.
Kennedy presidency. At the time of his death, Momo was 67 years old and known for his gambling and refusal to spread the wealth.
Giancana's greatest strength was not his violent nature, but his gift for making money. It was Giancana who struck fear into the electricians' union so that every slot machine in Chicago paid the mob.
In 1974, he even relocated to Cuernavaca, Mexico to avoid legal hassles.
Large payments were certainly made to powerful men in Mexico City to protect him, to provide sanctuary.
But a life of crime caught up to Giancana on June 19, 1975, as he was gunned down while cooking sausage and peppers. Aside from those responsible, nobody knows who killed Sam the Cigar. And
getting killed while you cooking sausage is crazy. Like, dang.
And conspiracy theories persist. Joe Gallo.
I work everyone. I make fun of blacks. I make fun of Jews. I work gypsies. I work Italians. Well, not those Italians. No. I got the money. Oh, shoot.
Known as Crazy Joe, this New York mafioso was raised in Brooklyn, New York.
He's vicious, he's a psychopath, and he scared the heck out of everybody.
Joey Gallo got off on anger, and he got off on power.
During the 50s, he joined the Profaci crime family, working as a hitman and extortionist. But eventually, Joey started a war with the gang and kidnapped Joe Profaci's brother-in-law, Joseph Magliacco.
The boys look like we're going uptown.
Yes, sir.
Hey, here we go. We're in business. Tomorrow is here.
That is not something a crime lord forgets. On April 7th, 1972, Crazy Joe celebrated his 43rd birthday in Manhattan. Later that night, Gallo was ambushed and shot at Umberto's Clam House, and later died at Beekman Downtown Hospital. Anthony Spilatro.
How did Nicky collect?
Every week, I disposed of them.
Don't ask.
This Chicago gangster was the inspiration for Joe Pesci's character in the 1995 film Casino. And if you're familiar with the Martin Scorsese classic, then you know that Anthony Spilatro suffers a horrific fate. In 1963, the Ant was officially a made man, and in 1976, he established the Hole in the Wall gang. Spilatro eventually became suspected of skimming allegations at the mob's Las Vegas operations. He swiftly disappeared in 1986 and was later found buried with his brother Michael.
9 days later, a farmer found the grave. DNA from the crime scene helped build the case 21 years later.
Police suspected Spilatro may have been involved in almost 24 murders. Jack McGurn.
Maybe I'm wrong to butt in like
in 24 murders. What was that? 24 murders. Whew. Dang.
this. But the last couple of months, I've been doing a little checking up on Moran.
Born Vincenzo Gibaldi, this man ultimately settled in Chicago and began boxing as a teenager.
Think you can handle it, kid?
Yes, sir.
By 1923, however, Jack McGurn joined Al Capone's crime organization and became known as the Machine Gun. He's known for killing singer Joe E. Lewis and allegedly helping plan the infamous St. Valentine's Day massacre. Exactly 1 day and 7 years after the massacre, McGurn was gunned down in Chicago, and the killers left a telling clue: a Valentine with a poem. Jack McGurn, a Sicilian immigrant, was 33 years old, and his half-brother Anthony DeMori was also murdered 2 weeks later. Angelo Bruno. Known as the Gentle Don, this iconic gangster was actually known to avoid violence.
I mean, Bruno, he was just made the new.
I see a lot of the Irishman and a lot of Casino. Them must be movies with just a whole bunch of different mobsters in there. Let me know if y'all want to see me check that out. I'll put it on my Patreon.
Boss of Philadelphia. He took care of everything from Philadelphia to Atlantic City.
For 20 years, Bruno headed the Philadelphia Mafia, but he began making enemies within the organization because of his greed.
London is going to be the Las Vegas of Europe. We need someone to front and someone to muscle for us.
On March 21st, 1980, his own underboss, Antonio Caponegro, allegedly had the docile Don killed outside his
Antonio Caponegro is crazy.
home on a South Philadelphia street. This did not go over well with the Commission, the Mafia's ruling body, which had not given their okay for the hit. As a result, Bruno's death was immediately avenged, as Caponegro was murdered for ordering his own boss's murder.
I know.
No, you don't know. Wait by the bar, would you?
Paul Castellano. For years, Big Paulie was a legend of the New York Mafia.
The question is whether his death will spark a new mafia war in New York or be the end of one.
By 1975, he succeeded Carlo Gambino as the head of the Gambino crime family, and once reportedly put a contract out on an undercover FBI agent. In the mid-'80s, Castellano was arrested.
Putting a hit out on the FBI agent is definitely a no-go. Like, bro, come on, bro. Ain't nobody getting away with no cop getting hit.
Arrested for racketeering, just as an associate named John Gotti put a deadly plan in motion.
We're hitting Paul. And anyone else who's in the car with him.
On the evening of December 16, 1985, Castellano and his underboss Thomas Bellotti were both gunned down outside Manhattan's Spark Steakhouse, a brazen act that announced a changing of the guard.
I gotta be loyal. Without that, we crumble.
Tell that to Paul Castellano.
Carmine Galante.
Carmine Galante. He was head of the Bonanno crime family. Known as the Cigar, he was widely feared for his cruelty.
Born in Harlem to Sicilian immigrants, this man became involved with organized crime before his teenage years. In the 40s, Carmine Galante worked as a hitman and later teamed up with Joseph Bonanno, leader of the Bonanno crime family. After 12 years in prison from 1962 to 1974, Galante attempted to run the drug trade, which greatly disappointed the five families.
In 5 short years, he transformed the fortunes of the U.S. Mafia by leading it into an era of multi-billion-dollar profits and unparalleled violence.
On July 12, 1979, the 69-year-old Galante was murdered in Bushwick, Brooklyn, at Joe and Mary's Italian-American restaurant.
It was such a perfect hit that it entered mafia folklore.
The commission had officially ordered the hit, and Galante famously died with a cigar in his mouth.
The motive for the murder, however, was clear. Galante had become rich through drugs and refused to share his wealth.
Albert Anastasia. The American Mafia exists because of this Italian immigrant. In 1919, Albert Anastasia first arrived in the United States and was soon sentenced to death for a 1921 murder. But the Mad Hatter received a new lease on life when several witnesses disappeared. By 1957, Anastasia was a 55-year-old legend in the criminal underworld.
He would not hesitate to resort to violence, whether it was shooting or murdering anybody, just to advance his position.
But the crime boss met a violent end when associates of Carlo Gambino, including the aforementioned Joe Gallo, allegedly murdered Anastasia at a Midtown Manhattan barbershop.
Excuse me, sir, I need to go in the back for a moment.
All right, don't be too long.
Decades later, it remains one of the most aggressive power moves in mob history.
It's not a mob hit where they've taken you in the woods. It's happened right there in the middle of New York City. That's one of the reasons it's iconic. It's so visible.
Benjamin Bugsy Siegel. Along with his friend Albert Anastasia, this Jewish mobster was a founding member of Murder Incorporated.
Bugsy Siegel was one of the main players in Murder Incorporated, which was the enforcement arm of the Lucky Luciano mob.
Benjamin Bugsy Siegel is also responsible for developing a small desert town called Las Vegas.
Take a look at this place, this beautiful place. What I want you to do is take it in. Take a deep breath. Do you smell it? Go on, take a deep breath. What do you smell?
Born in Brooklyn, Bugsy began a life of crime as a young man, and his organizational skills led him all the way out west.
At age 14, he started his first gang. He would go around and intimidate pushcart peddlers by telling them they needed to pay him for protection. When they questioned what they needed protection from, he would throw kerosene on their pushcarts, set them on fire.
Unfortunately for Siegel, his brash demeanor and lavish lifestyle made him many enemies, and one of them showed up at his Beverly Hills home on June 20th, 1947.
So I think the decision was made that the only way to tell him he was finished was to finish him.
As Bugsy read the LA Times inside, an unknown assassin fired through a window, killing the gangster. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
This is a raid! Everybody, against the wall! You know the drill.
Throughout history, individual mob hits have symbolized a transfer of power. In 1929, Al Capone made a major move by taking out several members of an Irish gang led by George Bugs Moran. Two supposed police officers arrived at a North Chicago warehouse and, along with two other hitmen, massacred 7 gangsters with Thompson submachine guns and shotguns.
Moran and others pointed the finger at Capone, but Al had an airtight alibi. He was in Florida in a meeting with the district attorney in Miami at the time of the shootings.
A contract killer named Frank Gusenberg survived the attack, but he refused to identify the assassins before passing away hours later. It's the stuff of movies, but it's also a disturbing real-life mob hit that sheds light on the brutality of Prohibition-era America.
All right, you two, let's go. Listen, Buster, you better be kidding. Move.
Listen, Buster.
Lousy flat feet. Wait till you hear about this downtown.
Check out this other recent clip from Watch Mojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.
That was 20 most infamous mob hits. Crazy thing about it is 90% of them they made movies out of, and then it was like multiple different mob bosses all in the same movie. Let me know what y'all think about that joint in the comments. Make sure that you subscribe. Make sure you like this video. Also in the comments, let me know if you want me to check out one of these mob bosses, like specifically, or you can even say you want me to check all of them out. I'm pretty sure that there's either documentaries or just short form videos where I can learn about each person individually. Let me know, like I said, in the comments. I'm going to catch y'all in the next one.